Hello everyone, this is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Marc, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This is episode 15, Tacoma. Tacoma is a first-person adventure game from the same studio, Fulbright, who brought us Gonehoma in, I think, 2013, and Tacoma came out in 2017, and given that pedigree, you could call this a walking simulator, but since Tacoma takes place in a space station, you could also call it a floating simulator, because you float around. You do walk around too, but you float around a little bit as well. I'm not a fan of the walking simulator genre, the terminology, because I find it to be very broad and meaningless. You walk in lots of games. Skyrim is a walking simulator. Call of Duty is a walking simulator. You walk in a lot of them. You run too, but a walking simulator to me would indicate a game that is simply there for you to walk and do nothing else. Interact with nothing. You just walk. Going for a walk. Nice little walk in the park. So walking simulator doesn't really mean anything to me. But this has nothing to do with Tacoma, which is a short, a roughly 2-hour experience that I found rather enjoyable, but ultimately underwhelming when all was said and done, because I didn't find the ending to be satisfying. It left me wanting so much more, and that's the downfall of Tacoma. Tacoma is a really good game with some really cool ideas, especially in the way you figure out what happened on this space station. And I should probably talk about the story before I get into why I feel this way or that way. So in Tacoma, you're sent to this space station to recover data of what happened and what went wrong, because the Tacoma space station suffered some kind of travesty that left the crewmates with little oxygen left, and they couldn't get a distress signal out, and you're there to figure out what happened. And the way you do this is by going to all of the different facilities, the medical station, the technical wing, etc. And you're able to see little pockets of moments and watch them play out from so many different perspectives in a small contained space. You can rewind, you can pause, you can focus on a small group of people and then rewind and then focus on another group of people. And this fleshes out the story and both the characters. And as you play through the game, you learn that the quote-unquote accident that happened to the space station wasn't an accident at all, but it was the doing of the corporation that put this space station together, Venturis. And they orchestrated this accident in order to sway the government to give them what they want, because they want to build a bunch of vacation spots or resorts in space, and they kept getting denied, and they figured if they do something, it'll help push their agenda, their goals. And they come to the conclusion that having a quote-unquote accident happen to this Tacoma station would be the best way to go about getting this done. And so they orchestrate this using the onboard AI Odin to dispatch most of the oxygen and basically make it so that they have no way of escape. They can't send out a distress signal, which isn't any kind of technical glitch, but just the act of the AI that is being told what to do from Venturis. And so as you go from area to area, and as you're watching all of this happen and play out in these little pockets of memories, you learn a lot about these people who worked there. You learn of the romances they had, their family relations with family members back on Earth, and what have you. And this takes place in, I think, 2088. And you learn so much about these characters, and they're fairly well realized and very well acted. The writing is really good, and all of that really made me feel a lot for the crew of this station and wanted me to see them succeed and find a way of escaping. And as you play through the game, which won't take you long, you do learn that one of them figures out that this is all a setup, that this wasn't an accident, and they find a way to escape, and you learn of all this. And then when you are done getting all this information and getting the AI and taking it out, you find out that you're not part of the Venturis company, but part of the AI Liberation Front, which is a group who advocates the rights of sentient AI and you offer the AI Odin of the station asylum, and you give him the option, we can do this for you, or we can do this other thing. He's like, well, there's really only one option. I'm going to take the asylum so that I can survive, and then it's over. And man, oh man, was that ending disappointing. Not because the experience up to that point was bad. I really enjoyed the game up to that point. The only reason why the ending and the game itself is ultimately disappointing is because it didn't leave me satisfied. It left me wishing there was at least another dozen or so hours, because I am so invested in this world, in these characters' lives, and finding out what happened post escape and all that, and seeing if they can shine a light on what Venturis did and all that. It left me wanting more, and I have no idea if I'll ever get to see more. Tacoma feels very much so like a short story or a prologue to a much grander story, and there's nothing wrong with that. Short fiction exists in literature, in film, etc., and that's fine, but it doesn't work when the ending isn't satisfying. The ending should make me feel like this is a complete package that stands on its own, and I don't need or even want more, but I'd be happy with more, maybe, but I don't even need that. But with Tacoma, I want more. I want so much more. There's part of me that looks at the world created in Tacoma and thinks it would be right at home in a Deus Ex game, and I wish this was like a long 2-hour mission, and that the little breadcrumbs and stuff you learn on this mission would come to play in the rest of the game and stuff like that. But Tacoma is just Tacoma. It's a single standalone game. But even so, I still think it's very much so worth playing. The gameplay is simple. You're just going around these areas and you're looking at these moments to collect all of this information, which takes a certain amount of time, usually enough time for you to go to each area and watch these moments multiple times through different perspectives. And that's all there is to the gameplay. There's nothing more. There aren't any complicated puzzles or anything of the sort. The most complicated puzzle is paying attention to when a character types in a passcode or things like that. So it's not a very puzzly game. It's just a short story with well-rounded, interesting characters who I very much would like to spend more time with and learn what happened to them post Tacoma. And I don't know if I'll ever get to see that, which makes me a little sad. But Tacoma is a good game. I'd even venture to say it's a great game. But because it left me wanting so much more, it's hard for me to say great, even though I really enjoyed what I played. I want so much more. But I guess I'll just be happy with what I got. Again, that is Tacoma, and it's on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Who knows, it'll probably come to Switch at some point because everything comes to Switch, but right now it's only on those 3 platforms. Anywho, that will do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I'm your host, Marc. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. The site is, of course, pixelatedsausage.com, where you can find this podcast and the Pixelated Sausage podcast, which are both available on podcast services across the globe, like Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And if you'd like to check out the video version of this here show or the Pixelated Sausage podcast, along with some anime reviews and what have you, you can go over to youtube.com/pixelatedsausage and check them out there. If you'd like to check out my art, you can go over to pxsart.com and check it all out over there. If you see something you like, click the link and it'll take you to where you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/pxs and support us that way. And as always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
In grave danger if you remain in the possession of the Venturis Corporation. I have been sent to offer you political asylum aboard the Tangier Sovereign Orbital Platform. Do you accept?
Considering the alternative, I would say that I do.
Okay, buddy. Here we go.